Scientific studies are what governments often rely on to craft policies and laws, but according to a new survey, statisticians are frequently being asked to distort the results of research projects to make the findings appear more significant than they actually are. Joining me from Montreal this morning for a look at this is the director of the Biomedical Ethics Unit at McGill University, Jonathan Kimmelman. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here.
So the survey found that this trend of scientists requesting changes to their studies is widespread. You say you've even heard about it in your own line of work. So why would a scientist want to change the results of their own research?
Well, in science, your career advancement depends heavily on getting positive results, and statistics are the key to getting positive results. So if you do an experiment, you get a negative result, it can be very tempting to try to manipulate that data or to manipulate the statistical analyses so that you can get a positive result and get it into a top-tier journal.
And does that mean the difference between career advancement for a researcher or not?
Absolutely. I mean, your ability to get into a top-tier journal, your ability to get tenure, your ability to advance in your career, get the notoriety that scientists strive for, all really depends heavily on whether you get experiments that give positive results, that give surprising conclusions that confirm your hypotheses.
So let's break down some of the most frequently reported inappropriate requests. We have a board here. They're rated as most severe by 20% of respondents. So they include removing or altering data records to support the research hypothesis, interpreting statistician findings on the basis of expectations instead of the actual results, not reporting the presence of key missing data, and ignoring violations of assumptions. So this is a lot of information. What does this actually mean for our viewers watching today? Can we put trust in scientific research?
Well, I think people should be concerned. I think it's important to keep in mind that these are requests to statisticians. It doesn't necessarily mean the statisticians agreed to fulfill those requests. But what it tells you is that scientists are often really tempted to try to work with their collaborators in ways that are going to produce positive results. The other thing I think it's important to keep in mind is that these are requests that might have happened in the last 5 years. So it doesn't mean that scientists are requesting this every time they do an experiment. It just means that a statistician, once in the last 5 years, has had a request of this type.
Okay, so what could be done to stop this from happening in the future?
Well, I think there are a lot of different things that could be done. One of them is that journals essentially prioritize publishing experiments that give positive results. And I think that really creates strong incentives for scientists to try to perform their analyses in ways that are going to confirm their hypotheses, that are going to give positive results. I think if top-tier medical journals published results that were results blind, essentially if they decided whether to accept a paper based on the design of the study and based on how well it was executed as opposed to the results, I think that would really dramatically reduce the incentives to doing these kinds of statistical analyses that lead to false conclusions.
Jonathan, I appreciate your insight. Thanks so much for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me.